the trade statistics. So it might be higher than even 20%, because in Ghana, I mean, they carry maize across the border. They don't go through any border point there. We don't have any border anyway. People walk across from country to country without any restraints. And so we have markets on this side of our border. In Ghana, there are markets on the Togolese side. And so when it's market there, people carry yams and, potatoes and cassava and everything and cross and go and trade. And when it's a market day on our side, the Togolese come. A lot of that trade is not captured in the statistics, so it might be higher. But the formal trade is quite low. It's estimated at about 11%. It's the lowest amongst all continents. And so it was a good news when we passed the protocol on the African Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is based in Accra. Now, there are two challenges the African Continental Free Trade Area face. First is the issue of standards. Actually, three. First is the issue of standards, harmonizing our standards, which is what we in Zambia are working at. The second is payments and settlements. We have to exchange dollars to buy products from Ghana. And Ghanaians have to exchange dollars to buy products from Zambia. We must get rid of that. We must find a way of trading in our own currencies. And that is what the Pan-African payments and settlement system is supposed to achieve. The third challenge is the logistics for moving goods amongst African countries. Because of our colonial experience, the railway lines, the roads and everything are designed in a way to export, to Europe and other places, and not to ourselves. You find that between two countries, even the road network is poor. If I wanted to export goods to Senegal or Morocco, the road between Ghana and Senegal hardly exists. I mean, in some places a dead track, and so we were not meant to trade amongst ourselves. We were meant to trade with our European colonizers. And so the logistics were not there. Short railway tracks just to bring things, extract raw material from our countries to the ports for export to Europe and other places. So infrastructure, the logistical infrastructure for trading amongst ourselves is also a problem. And that's why we have to leverage the money to be able to put in that infrastructure. There must be trains going between Zambia and Ethiopia, Zambia and, I'm sure you have a rail between you and Mozambique or something. But there must be trains going everywhere where we can carry heavy cargo cheaper. There must be roads interconnecting our countries. And if we're able to put in that infrastructure, the trade will develop, the trade networks will develop, so that it's not more expensive to trade amongst ourselves than to trade with Europe. All the ships are going to Europe. If I send a container to Tema Port just now and I say I'm sending it to Rotterdam or to Netherlands or to somewhere, within 2 weeks it should be there, or even less, because there's always a ship going. But if I say I'm bringing something to Zambia, it will have to probably go to South Africa. How many ships go from Ghana to South Africa? I might even have to ship it to Europe and put it on another ship to come to South Africa, and then from South Africa to transport it to Zambia, And so it increases the freight charges and all that. So those are the main logistical constraints. And these are the things that we discussed with President Ichelema to see how we can improve trade amongst ourselves. And today at the Business Forum, one of the important things he said was that let's generate import lists of our two countries, and let's look at those import lists. Ghana imports beef. Zambia has excess beef. Can we import our beef from Zambia instead of importing it from Argentina and begin to increase the volumes of trade amongst ourselves? A week at night when the next global shock will happen. Yeah. It could be a financial meltdown. Yeah. It could be a pandemic. It could be earthquakes, volcanoes, disruption of international travel, and all that. So these things it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, because these shocks will come, and they come in different magnitudes, some more severe, some, on the lighter side. And so every country must aim at creating what I call a resilient economy, an economy that has enough shock absorbers or buffers to be able to stand external shocks. When I spoke with President Chilema, we recognized immediately the similarity of the trajectory on which both our countries have been. He took over a difficult economy and has been implementing quite bold reforms to turn the economy around. And the results are beginning to show in terms of lower inflation, stronger value of the Zambian kwacha and all that. The macroeconomy is looking better, the investment environment is looking better. And it's exactly similar to Ghana. Like Zambia, we also just came out of a debt restructuring. I also inherited a very difficult economy. Inflation at 23.4%. The local our currency, just kept depreciating in value, and aside from that, investor confidence was low. Foreign direct investment had gone down, and so we've all been implementing quite bold reforms. And in Ghana, as in Zambia, the turnaround has happened and results are beginning to show positively. One of the things we need to do is to build our foreign reserves, which is what we're doing in Ghana. In 1 year, we've moved our reserves from $8.9 billion to $13.4 billion in 1 year. We want, over the next 3 years, to increase our reserve position to beyond $20 billion, so that if anything happened, we would have enough buffers in terms of our reserves to be able to tide over whatever shock it is. And so I think that one of the things to do is to build the foreign reserves. The other thing is the creation of an environment that is conducive to business, so that you have a multiplier effect in terms of people's incomes and opportunities for people. Because ultimately, your reserves alone are not able to do it. It is boosting the per capita income of your people, so that if anything happens, they still have the kind of income or capital to be able to survive or to bring themselves back up. Look at what happened with our economy. Many companies collapsed completely. There are people whose businesses, no longer exist. But if we're able to run our economy in a way that creates opportunity and makes people able to invest in bonds and other things, after a global shock, they're able to liquidate their bonds and either build their industries back, or if they have collapsed, to invest in some new area. I think that's what we should be doing. President Chilema said something very profound. He said, the economy is at the basis of everything. You can talk about education, you can talk about agriculture, you can talk about anything. If the economy is, not doing well, you can't raise the resources to invest in these areas. And so the economy is at the basis of everything. And that is why we say we should move to an economic partnership agreement, so that we're able to exchange knowledge and material in areas where we have comparative advantages.